Hey all, welcome to Monday. That means it's countdown day here on the channel, and today is going to be a combination of Yo Joe and Transform and Roll. Or out. Okay, so it doesn't rhyme, but you get the idea. As voted on by fans, this is going to be the top 10 G.I. Joe and Transformers crossovers that fans would still like to see happen, most likely in the collaboratives line. That's going to be our list this time around, our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, loud of my baby, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below. And if you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is, it's funny, it was brought up to me a few times. Hey, could you do a countdown of the top 10 Transformers G.I. Joe collaboratives that fans would still like to see done? And of course, within that line, we've had the AWE Bumblebee with Stalker done. We've had the HISS Tank Megatron done. And admittedly, some of this list have been presented in such a way where, for example, there was, I think, like a Sky Striker that was painted to look like Starscream, but it didn't transform or anything. Some of these have had customizations that fans have done over the years. Some of these we've seen as KO, but this is in reference to the kind of like official collaboratives line, of which so far we have 2 official G.I. Joe crossovers. I didn't specify what characters to use. I didn't even specify if, when somebody voted, whether it's a Transformer that turns into a vehicle that comes with a G.I. Joe, or whether it is a G.I. Joe character that now all of a sudden has a Transformer vehicle mode, right? Which we've seen kind of both done over the years. Admittedly, there may even be some older offerings that do sort of address some of these, but keep in mind, we are talking about in the future now within the modern collaboratives line. So, with all of that said, we have our honorable mentions, and we have 3 honorable mentions this time around. The first one, I just want to make sure I find it, Thundercracker as a Rattler. A lot of people said, well, I'm voting for Thundercracker as a Cobra Rattler because the Rattler is a blue plane. Thundercracker is a blue plane. That being said, if you're wondering, well, kind of what does the Rattler look like? If you remember, Combiner Wars, we kind of had a nod to that in Combiner Wars with the Little Legends class Viper, right? So it's not the traditional Thundercracker alt mode, but it would be interesting to see him done as like a full-sized version of a Rattler rather than like a Little Legends version. He would definitely need to be stylized, so you would need like a Rattler body with a Thundercracker head done in Thundercracker colors, I guess. Also, Wrecker as a Ram Cycle. I like that one. I think that one's really clever. And Scourge done as This I Command, Serpentor. Of course, we did have the old deluxe class Chug Scourge used as a Serpentor a long time ago. The voters here really seem to mean the more recent Studio Series 86 Scourge / Sweep done as Serpentor. I think that'd be cool to see. And a lot of them said some version thereof of his air chariot should also be included. I think that'd be really cool. I would love to see it. None of those made the actual list. Who did? Well, you know what we're going to do. We're going to find out by kicking things off with number 10. First. Number 10 came to me as quite the surprise, and it's Sea Spray. Sea Spray specifically redone as a killer whale, which of course was a G.I. Joe hovercraft, mostly in green, of course, like kind of traditional hovercraft colors. Interestingly, some people said that he should come with Shipwreck, or that his head, his face, should be Shipwreck with that hover, with that killer whale alt mode. here's what's interesting. Nobody said he should come with Cutter, which I'm pretty sure is the pilot for that vehicle. Cool. I guess Shipwreck, the more popular character, and a hovercraft for a hovercraft. How can you argue with it? Yeah, Sea Spray takes the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, does anybody fancy a Dragonfly from none other than Whirl? That's right, and if you're not sure what Dragonfly is the perhaps most classic of green G.I. Joe helicopters, best known to be piloted by Wild Bill. I don't have his cowboy hat on him, though I do have it. Wild Bill, again, people said either Wild Bill's head should be on Whirl, and Whirl, of course, should transform into the Dragonfly helicopter, or, by the way, I loved the Dragonfly helicopter as a kid. I thought it was so cool, and you could press that button and the rotors went around, and it was huge, it was hefty, it was great. Or, people have said, you know, make a Dragonfly that is Whirl based and have him come with Wild Bill. Wild Bill and a Wild Whirl? Yeah, I think that's a great combination, and Whirl took the number 9 slot. Number 8, I actually don't have a version of because it's outside of my wheelhouse, and it takes us back to 2004, and of all things, Transformers Energon, after Cyclonus became Snowcat, and this is an obvious one. Since the Energon Snowcat transforms into the G.I. Joe Snowcat half-track, it's just a no-brainer. Snowcat as Snowcat would make absolute sense. It would look like this. I mean, how can you argue with it? It is what it is, right? And it takes the number 8 slot. Number 7 is sort of a no-brainer as well, with Warpath, painted green and done as the Mobat, the like motorized, automated battle tank thing, right? That I think was piloted by Steeler. Interestingly, nobody mentioned having anyone come with Warpath, but Steeler would be the obvious choice. And a couple of people kind of laughed at the idea and said, you know, when we have Warpath done in green, he's actually the GotBot Treads. So, I don't know, paint him green, call him Treads, have his alt mode be the Mobat, throw in a Steeler for good measure. You could cover Transformers, GoBots, and G.I. Joe all in one with this great little guy. Yeah, Warpath, not necessarily this mold, maybe much bigger, but Warpath took the number 7 slot. Number 6 takes us to two of the most popular characters, one from each franchise, and voiced by the exact same person. I'm talking, of course, about Cobra Commander Starscream. I know, this isn't the traditional Cobra Commander. This is the, version 3 or whatever. I just broke him out for fun. I do have the original. It's just, how often does this battle armor version of him get any love at all? This is not the intended Cobra Commander to cross with a Seeker. The idea is to basically get a blue Seeker, probably the Thrilling 31, though I think there was actually a KO done of that, and paint it up and turn it into Cobra Commander, give it a Cobra Commander head. They always say Starscream, but I guess it could be any Seeker. But yeah, obviously the connection being the voice of the late great Chris Latta, or Latta if you prefer that pronunciation. I've heard both, and honestly I'm not sure which one is correct. But yeah, Starscream as Cobra Commander as Starscream, peanut butter and jelly, baby, and together they take the number 6 slot. Ah, yes, and as a hush falls over the crowd, here we are once again at the most coveted of locations, the ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark we have one that I think makes sense, but who people wanted to join this character was a bit of a surprise to me. I'm talking, of course, about the Thrilling 30 version of Jetfire, and a lot of people specifically said the Thrilling 30 version naturally done as a Sky Striker. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but interestingly, of those who voted for this, only one person wanted him to be accompanied by his proper pilot, Ace. A lot of people voted for Duke to be the pilot. I thought that was really interesting for a combination. A Duke that would pilot a Sky Striker, yeah, I'm down with that. Now, I don't know if there would be a way to fit this Duke in this Sky Striker. You would probably need a new mold, but I can absolutely see a Jetfire head going on a Sky Striker body, and it would be excellent if you could open up the cockpit and put Duke or Ace inside. Why not? Seems great. Took the number 5 slot. Coming in at number 4, we have the Terror from the Sky, known as the Night Raven, made from the Seeker mold. I have Skywarp here because the votes came in for a Starscream as the Night Raven, but a lot of votes also came in for Skywarp as the Night Raven, which makes perfect sense. Black plane, black plane. Naturally, we would have to have some molding changes and whatnot to accommodate a Night Raven Seeker, but I could see it being done. Again, there was some debate as to the head, but a lot of people sort of settled on and said, no. Rather than give it a Strato Viper head, because then that would just be a Strato Viper Night Raven that transforms. Where's the homage to a Seeker? A lot of people said, do a Night Raven body, color it with Skywarp's colors, give it a Seeker head, and have the Strato Viper come with it. I think that would make the most sense. It would probably have to be at least like a later class. I'm thinking something fairly large. And to be fair, there was debate about using Skywarp in the Seeker body or using the movie Jetfire body for it. There was some debate over that. Not the clearest thing. But when all the dust settled and the voting was done and they were all counted, the one that kind of came out on top was the Seeker body, was the Seeker homage of a Skywarp color scheme on a newly molded Night Raven body piloted by the ever dangerous Strato Viper. That clear? You understand that vote? It was a bit of a complicated one, but it took the number 4 slot. Number 3 was a bit of an interesting one with, hear me out as I say this, because I know some people are immediately going to jump to conclusions, but Powerglide as a Rattler. And I know right away people right now as I say that are saying to themselves, oh, we got that, it's called Viper. No, specifically the people that voted for this said not Viper, the red Rattler that Powerglide was in the Transformers G.I. Joe comic crossover. In other words, he retains his red color scheme. He works with the Joes rather than Cobra. He just happens to have the same body type as the Rattler. So it's very much an incorporation of this guy. Interestingly enough, a lot of people said that this guy should come with Ace. I don't get it either. I mean, it's not the right proper pilot for it. But then again, I mean, are you really going to have a Wild Weasel team up with a G.I. Joe version of a Rattler? That would be weird as well. So yeah, a lot of people said this one with Ace. You know what? The voters are the voters. Sometimes they shock me. Sometimes they surprise me. This was one of them. Any way you cut it, red Rattler Powerglide took the number 3 slot. Now number 2 is kind of a peculiar one, and it's Hound. Now I'm just saying Hound, and I didn't say a specific vehicle because there were kind of 3 versions of voting that came in for Hound that I amalgamated together, and I said I'll explain it when I actually get to the list. The first is any version of the Bayverse Hound, and I get that. I mean, he was Oshkosh, and then I can't remember the sort of other armored vehicle that he was, but he was a military vehicle anyway. Easy to adapt and make it something G.I. Joe. Then there's a lot of people, I suppose, still somewhat a little bit embittered that the AWE was Bumblebee rather than Hound, though it should have been Hound, and said he should still come with Stalker. And then interestingly, there were people who said, you know what, do Hound as a vamp, okay, stick with me now, do Hound as a vamp, and pair him with Sergeant Slaughter. I thought that was so peculiar, but I was like, that's creative voting. I absolutely love it. I absolutely dig it. So of those 3, for my personal favorite, I'm going to say Hound as a vamp with Sergeant Slaughter. Do it up. He took the number 2 slot. And here we are at number 1. And this one could be epic, could be mammoth. It is Broadside. Not this broadside. Imagine taking a Titan class broadside, a huge broadside, a near 6 or 7 foot broadside, and making it into, you guessed it, the USS Flag. Interestingly, people did not want a gigantic broadside as the flag to come with keel hull. They wanted them to come with General Hawk. General Hawk and the flag and broadside? Make it happen. #1 spot by far. And there you go. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. And man, there were some great ones. Optimus Prime as a G.I. Joe General, probably Joe Colton. Hound as Roadblock, like Hound's body with Roadblock's head. Cosmos as someone, but they didn't specify who. Movie Jetfire as the Night Raven, we already mentioned that. RC as a Tiger Force cycle, so like the RC motorcycle with the Tiger Force coloration. Or Lady J RC, right? RC with Lady J head. What else do we have? Axer is a Dreadnought cycle. Somebody voted for Omega Supreme because of the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, but that's not really a collaboration, right? That's not an homage. That's just a link because Omega Supreme was in that crossover comic. Thunderblast is a Cobra Moray. What else do we have here going down? Onslaught, not specified as who or what. Bruticus, same sort of thing, I guess just a more military looking color scheme. Tiger Track as Tiger Track. Lifeline as First Aid, or First Aid as Lifeline, or First Aid on a more generic ambulance and paired with Lifeline. I think that'd be cool too. What else do we have here? Broadside as the Montana. A colored version of Superion, like more camouflage. Wolfgang as Timber. I love that. Beast Wars Wolfgang as Timber. Speaking of which, one of the most creative votes was for kind of incorporating them as pretenders, and specifically the Prowl Pretender as Snake Eyes. I think that'd be cool to see. I'd be down for that. Perceptor as a BET. What else do we have here? Fort Max as the G.I. Joe base. Fort Max as the G.I. Joe base. There were more, but man, oh man, what a creative, wild, interesting round of voting. I'm not a huge collaboratives guy, and I'm not a huge crossover guy, but I thought that this was a really, really fun, interesting list for sure. Let me know if your favorites made it or not. Up and coming, we are at that time of the year again where the next few lists we're going to be getting into the year-end stuff for 2022 with the best, the worst as voted on by fans, and then eventually my best and worst. So that's going to be up and coming. Of course, as we go into 2023, we will have more and more new lists. I hope that you guys have had a great 2022, and I hope you have a wonderful 2023 as we go further into it. Let me know if your favorites made the list. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.